So, what's a forward cross roll? Well, it's similar to a forward crossover. You cross your foot over, but instead of going onto the inside edge like that, you're going to skate onto an outside edge. So forward cross rolls, you keep repeating the crossing over action, but it's always on an outside edge like that. So the first thing you do is you practice like with a crossover, picking your foot up, but putting it on the outside edge like that. So we pick up the foot and we cross it over. We practice just the idea of crossing a foot over onto the outside edge, because that's what we're going to be doing moving forwards. So you want to try crossing these feet over moving as your initial step towards practicing your cross rolls. I'm going to keep my shoulders and my hips parallel to the direction I'm going. I'm going to build up a little bit of speed, and then I'm just going to pick my feet up and cross it over like this, going in a straight line. And I don't move my shoulders or my hips, I don't twist or do anything, I'm just practicing crossing that over onto the outside edge. Cross over onto the outside edge. Not cross and change like this. I just cross it over to the outside edge, nice and simple like that. So when we're trying this exercise here in the straight line, this initial cross roll exercise, you want to make sure you cross the foot fully over. A lot of people, they do it and they don't quite get it, and they just sort of do this, okay? Really make sure that you cross it over and it's on an outside edge. You also want to make sure that it doesn't go down on an inside edge. A lot of people cross it and just inside, outside like this and not clear. As that foot goes down, it has to be on an outside edge. So once you've mastered the very basic picking your foot up and crossing like this, we want to go to the next step, which is taking a slight curve, picking the foot up, and as I cross it over, I bend into my skating knee and I push onto the new edge. I pick up, cross it, and I bend into the skating leg and push onto the new edge. Now, similar to when you're doing the forward crossovers, when I talked about in the previous video, is as you get here, you have to push off the outside part of your blade here. It's the same thing with the forward cross roll. So as I lift and cross my foot over, you see I have my weight on my back foot here, and I bend and I push into it and transfer. I lift, I bend with the weight on the back here, and I push. You see there, my foot is on the outside and I push off the outside to do the cross roll. So in the first exercise I showed you, I talked about the shoulders and the hips staying square. In this next version, it's exactly the same. Shoulders and the hips stay square, but I'm on a bit of a curve, so it comes around the corner. I lift the foot, I cross and I push onto the new one. I lift the foot up, I cross and I push onto the new one. My hips and my shoulders stay square the whole time. What I don't do is lift the foot up and twist and do that. I don't twist like this and try and do it with the upper body. They stay square the whole time. So some common mistakes you want to avoid when trying this exercise in the cross rolls is as you pick your foot up and you cross it over, you don't want the outside to open like this. If you do that, it's going to be very hard to cross roll. If I twist open here, it's very hard to come back the other way. That's why I talked about the shoulders and the hips staying square. If they stay square, I have some power to push through. Again, they stay square, I have some power to push through. If I twist it open, I lose all that power. Another common mistake you want to avoid. As I pick up the foot to do the cross roll, I don't want to fall onto it like this and push off the toe. That's something I really want to avoid. What I want to do is as the foot comes through, I want to bend, you see? From here, I'm bending on my skating leg, and I'm going to push and transfer onto the new foot. Here, I bend and I push and transfer. Okay, I don't just fall onto the new foot. Another thing you want to avoid, you don't want to get into the habit of, as you cross roll, twisting with the upper body to try and make the cross rolls happen. It's a really bad habit to take, and it'll be very hard to break later on. Another thing you want to make sure you do, you want to make sure your hips are forwards like this. You see a lot of people trying to do cross rolls, and they get here and their hips are back like that, and they skate like this. You can't get any speed from it. If my hips are back, as I cross and I push, my back leg just flicks off the ice. I lose all of the power I could get. If I'm on here, if I have my hips forwards and I push, I can get much more speed that way. Here I push, I can get more speed. If my hips are back, like I said, so I try and push, my leg just flies off backwards like that, and I don't get anything from it. Okay, so it's very important with these cross rolls that you pick your foot and cross it over. Now, as you push off, you want to make sure you push off with the outside part of the blade like this, okay? What you don't want to do is cross it over, keep that upright, and push off with the toe like this, okay? The foot crosses over, and as it gets here, you see I really press into the outside and push off like that. So up until now, we've gone over, the shoulders and the hips staying square, and the crossing the foot over to the outside. Afterwards, we covered lifting the foot over and bending on the skating leg and pushing and transferring the weight. We've also gone over pushing, making sure we push off with the outside of the foot. Now the final thing we want to try and do is make the movement a little more fluid. Instead of picking our foot up like this, we're going to push, and our foot's going to come in nice and close and go across and in front like that. I'm here on my outside, I come round the corner, my foot comes in close and parallel to this foot, I'm still on one leg of course, and then it comes across and in front like that as I push onto the new foot, okay? This looks a lot more fluid. Instead of having this plodding look like that, we now have a very smooth transfer onto the cross roll. So now if I demonstrate to you how the cross roll looks with a more fluid transition, you see I bend and I skate. Here I bend and I skate onto the new one. Bend and I skate. It looks much better like that. It avoids this very beginner look like that, and your cross rolls will go to the next level like this. So some other things you have to think about with the cross roll as well. As I push onto my outside, I rise up a bit. Now from here, as my foot comes through, I bend into my skating knee, and then I push and transfer to the new foot. I rise up a little and I bend into the skating knee. I push, rise up a little, bend into the skating knee. It's very important to give it this sort of feeling, a wave-like feeling with the knee action, because it helps propel you forwards and get good speed. So another thing I do at this more advanced level of the cross roll, as I push, I lean slightly over into the circle. As I bend, I transfer and change and lean this way. I bend, I transfer and change and lean that way. Bend and transfer and lean this way. It gives it a much nicer look. So when I'm doing this most advanced version of the cross roll, notice that as I push off with the back foot, as it pushes off onto the cross roll, it opens afterwards like this. So it looks good. What you don't want to do is cross roll and keep the feet turned in like this, okay? What you want to do, to show you, as I push here, and as I bend and cross, I open my foot, and I open my back foot. You see, my foot's open, but be careful. You don't want to cross it, open the foot, and leave the hip open completely like that. The shoulders and the hips must stay square as you do it. When I say open the foot, as it opens, it's only the foot that opens. I don't take the hip with it, just the foot. So I still have this solid position like that.